the meet so far, something like that. Are there any other questions in the comments? I never look at the YouTube comments,
Oh
especially
yeah,
after yesterday, because I know Evan was dunking on my
What?
misconceived notion of being a Sixers fan, which I regret every day of my life now.
Okay, there were a lot. It's like it's interesting and put questions in the chat if you got them before we go. We'll go for a few more minutes if people have questions in the chat or things they want us to discuss. But it's like the beginning of every chat, the people who are here just want to make fun of you about the Sixers. So as soon as I log on, the first 10 comments, and today it was like Brazier's the Sixers. That's what I kept
Oh,
seeing,
God.
which
I was
that's
thinking that.
not
Not gonna lie, I'm like a
well, that's
favorite.
not
He's
fair
like
to
my Joel
Brazier.
Embiid.
That's not fair to Brazier. Come on now. Brazier won a title. So let's not compare him to the Sixers. Come on. That's just mean. Anyway, if you got questions in the chat, people want to know what happened to Evan Jaeger. He was hurt. Didn't run.
He's hurt.
Scratch the meat. There you go. Any other
Hey,
questions?
Bowerman, they got 4 Olympians already now.
What did we set the
How many?
over-under at for Bowerman?
I don't know.
Uh, Someone wants to know where you got your haircut.
Oh, Bird's Barbershop. I needed
Okay.
one. It's been way too long.
Someone thought I got a haircut, but it's just I don't have these headphones stopped working on me for some reason. So I switched because when I have my headphones on, you can't really see my hair as much. And when I take them off, it makes my hair look shorter. So I did not recently get a haircut. Murphy prediction for the games.
For
Games.
Olympics?
Yeah.
I'll say. I mean, if he runs like he did here, he'll win. But you know, Michael Ceruni's running well. I know, kind of low key, won the Kenyan trials over Korir, and the other, I forget who the other guy was, but I have a feeling one of the Kenyan guys is going to show up and be in that top 3. And then, you know, the British guys are running well.
Yeah. Giles. You got Lewandowski like lurking.
Yeah.
Jamie. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge if this thing becomes like a 143 mid race, you open it up to a lot of contenders.
Everyone.
Yeah. Versus what Brazier did, where he's just like, I'm rolling for
or like a Rudisha. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tyler says, can anyone from the 800 make it through the world rankings? No, because you only send 3, and all 3 have the standard.
Yeah, everyone had the standard, so there's no world ranking situation. I mean, there is kind of one happening potentially in the men's javelin and the women's high jump, because there are 2 people who are just outside the world ranking today, but that world ranking does not involve their Olympic trials performance. So you would think their Olympic trials performance might bump them into a world ranking and then it'll be selected. The question is, will USATF wait until, I would think they're probably going to wait to see what their world ranking is, including when it includes their Olympic trials performance, because that would make most sense. They just don't know that they won't know that world ranking until World Athletics puts it out, which I think they put up another update tomorrow on June 22nd, but maybe they wait to the end of this trials. I don't know. We'll see.
DC Noaz, do we think Jewett is going to attack the Olympics the way he has attacked NCAAs in the trials final? I hope he does. I think that's just the way he runs, and we've seen this with 800-meter runners in the past. Once they have a preferred style, they settle in. And before you say, oh, man, it's going to be a long season, just remember how long Bryce Hoppel's season was in 2019. Yeah. Not to say that he's not susceptible to fatigue, and we could see him go out in the first round. That's certainly a possibility, but he could also make a late run. I still think right now I would put my money on Hoppel and Murphy finishing ahead of him at the Olympics, and I would not have guessed that Hoppel would have run all the way to 4th after his marathon season in 2019. How likely?
Okay, here's a question.
Go ahead.
I was going to have a question.
You don't get to ask questions. The people in the chat.
All right, I'll save my question for the podcast on Wednesday. I'll save it.
Continue. Save it for when you hit hang up, and then you just come downstairs and talk to me about it. Orlando says, how likely are Lyle's chances to make the 200? Bednarik, Curley, and Laird with a chance? Yeah, they're a lot lower than they were before. I mean, I had them at 99.999. I was so confident. I was willing to put out a significant wager of my home on it, not just winning, but winning the Olympics. He said, where's Lyles' tweet? He tweeted something today. Travis, can we pull up the tweet from Lyles? This made me feel good. And you might be saying, well, what's he going to say? Of course he's going to say this. But how did he describe what his 200 is going to be? He said, there it is. There it is. There it is. For everyone who is worrying about my mental, don't worry. I'm good. I gave my all and I'm healthy. Of course, I want to make the 100, but it wasn't meant to be this year. But I will tell you this 200 will be disgusting. And I like that he described it as being disgusting. He didn't just say the 200 is going to be amazing or epic or awesome. He said disgusting. So I feel good about him in the 200. And
Isn't it interesting how we
he's going to
use
make it.
certain words that mean something that they don't mean? Like remember
Yes.
like in the 90s when everyone said that's fat with a
Yeah.
ph and that meant cool. Here this disgusting means badass in this situation, I guess, right? It's going to be amazing. Disgusting, that means amazing. The English language is
Uh,
wild, man.
Thoughts on Cranny dedicating her run to Houlihan? I didn't see that. We were getting set up. That must have been during the post. I'm guessing the post race on camera interview. You know, the Batman people have been asked by the media in the mix zone about Shelby, and a lot of them are, they're basically saying the same thing, that they support her. They feel horrible. This has been weighing on them for, is it 5 months about that they've heard that this issue was going on. I guess when was the positive test come back? My timeline's January, I think, was the notification. So 5 months makes sense. And they want to focus on their race, and they feel, obviously terrible. And then they move on from there. So obviously people have seen what they posted on social media as well. So they all support her. They all have her back. I don't think there's been people in that group who have gone in the other direction, or if they, I know some, didn't post anything, but the ones who are talking about it are obviously throwing a bunch of support her way.
Jenny Simpson was asked, and she kind of hedged. If you watch the interviews on the website, we'll put up on YouTube as well. But watch the whole Jenny Simpson interview to see, because Jenny Simpson is one of those notorious like anti-doping advocates. Whenever someone tests positive, she's always very on the forefront of promoting clean sport. And she did say like, you know, she used the phrase like it's not, picking our team is not a popularity contest. I guess
Yeah.
implying that liking the athlete that got caught potentially or not caught, I guess as of now, doping, according to Kaz, that you can't just say, "Oh, but you're popular, so we don't want to believe it."
Yep.
But she didn't do what she didn't react. I'm going to be honest here. She didn't react the way she reacts to like other people who have been accused of doping with a very like blunt get out. She did be a little more balanced. And I guess that just shows that Jenny Simpson also is human. That when you know someone for so well and you race against them all the time, it's a lot easier to be anti-doping when you never heard the person before, or you've never watched them race, or they train in another country that you never see them. But when it's someone that you see every day, or it's someone that you've been following throughout, it just feels different. So these athletes are human. They're gonna become off hypocritical, and I think all of us are hypocritical. We're gonna be. We're not. A ref isn't going to call a foul the same way on one player or the other. It's just human nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's why whenever these situations happen, the Gordon Mack take, regardless of if I believe you or not, is always I don't know, because in the end, I don't know. I mean, look at this. Throw this up, Travis. Those screenshots.
Yeah, this is 2019. I
After
mean,
NOP, get him out.
the
That was about Salazar. She didn't say get Shelby out. She kind of
mhm.
did a little more political take on it. So
Well, and I think with Salazar, that was years in the making, right? It was a little bit different scenario than
yeah,
something she found out about 2 weeks ago. To give a little bit more of a broader perspective on it. I do agree with your point about people being human and people being susceptible to believing certain athletes over the other. I mean, you're just like you're gonna like if you're a teammate, like you're gonna have that perspective, and you do not have that perspective. You're right. If it's someone who's in a different part of the world that runs a different event, same. But yeah, let's see if we got a couple other questions here. The Huts on Javon Harrison and the high jump or long jump. He's going to do good, and I think he is going to win. 3 favorites in the men 5K. I'm going to save that. I'm going to say one of the topics we're going to do is which predictions would you have changed for the last 4 days based on what we saw in the first 4 days. I think that's something that we're going to do on Wednesday morning's show, Gordon. Can Amos win gold? That's a good question. I think he's in the mix. Someone typed in Brazier didn't make it. Yes, welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Someone asked, are we brothers?
Hawaiian time zone or something? Hawaii time zone right there?
We are not brothers. Where did this thing Mo sign? We don't know. I think that's